right now on NBC Connecticut.
Charged with murder, Fotis Dulos is now behind bars, accused of killing his wife. His lawyer vowing to fight.
If this is all the state's got, we wonder why it bothered.
Dulos' civil attorney and ex-girlfriend also charged in the case.
Difficult day, as you can imagine. Very difficult.
We have live team coverage of today's arrests.
Plus a look back at what's happened since Jennifer Dulos' disappearance in May and what comes next, right now.
NBC Connecticut News starts now.
And we will get to those arrests in the Jennifer Dulos case in just a moment, but we begin with breaking news overseas. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Keisha Grant.
And I'm Mike Heideck. Iran has made good on its threat to attack U.S. targets in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing its top general.
You're looking at video showing the moment Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles at 2 Iraqi air bases housing U.S. forces. Tonight, top lawmakers here in the U.S. are calling for unification and prayer.
Now, President Trump has been briefed and is consulting with his national security team now. He will not be addressing the nation tonight. NBC's Alice Barr is live in Washington with the late-breaking details. Alice.
Good evening. President Trump is playing down the damage tonight on Twitter and promising to address the nation tomorrow. Tonight, dramatic new video aired on Iranian state TV appears to show the moment of attack on 2 Iraqi military bases that house American troops. The Pentagon confirming Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles at those facilities, Iran calling it retribution for the killing of its top general, Qasem Soleimani.
But this is undoubtedly the most serious moment between Iran and America in the last 40 years.
Tonight, President Trump downplaying the attacks, tweeting all is well, and so far so good on the assessment of casualties. Earlier today, he issued a stern warning.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences, and very strongly.
And with Iran already threatening more retaliation, lawmakers are raising alarm about where we go from here.
I am questioning whether or not the Trump administration has a coherent strategy for what to do next.
Republican Senator Rand Paul tracing the tensions back to the U.S. pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal.
I think this maximum pressure campaign where we give no off-ramp and there's no ability or attempt to engage, I think it's been a failure.
While supporters say the president was right to fight back.
Appeasement hasn't worked. Weakness invites the wolves.
President Trump earlier defending his decision to kill Soleimani based on intelligence he was planning imminent attacks on Americans.
And he was a monster. And he's no longer a monster. He's dead.
Tonight, the U.S. and Iran both on high alert, each side waiting to see what the other will do next. And if the U.S. retaliates, Iran is threatening counterstrikes against Israel and the United Arab Emirates. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Alice Barr, thank you. We are also following breaking news now that just came into the newsroom minutes ago. A Ukrainian airplane carrying 180 people has crashed near the airport in the capital of Iran. That's according to Iranian state TV. No word yet on any injuries. Initial reports say, though, this was a Boeing 737, and the crash may have been caused by mechanical issues. Stay with NBC Connecticut and NBC News for continuing coverage on both of these breaking stories. We'll bring them on air, online, and of course the NBC Connecticut app.
Also breaking tonight, 3 arrests connected to the murder of Jennifer Dulos, her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, his ex-girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, and his civil attorney, Kent Mawhinney, all facing charges tonight.
Jennifer Dulos disappeared in May, and since then, police have found a lot of evidence, including her car, bloody clothes, but there has been no sign of a body. Still, authorities say they believe they have enough evidence to charge her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos.
We have team coverage as we dig deeper and uncover new details in this twisted case. We want to begin with NBC Connecticut's Jamie Ratliff, live in Suffield, where Fotis Dulos is locked up tonight. Jamie.
Yeah, Keisha, Mike, tonight Fotis Dulos is here at the McDougall-Walker Correctional Institute. Tomorrow, he will face a judge for charges of felony murder, and kidnapping.
If this is all the state's got, we wonder why it bothered.
For the third time, police arrested Fotis Dulos, but this time he's charged with murdering his estranged wife, Jennifer. The mother of 5 disappeared more than 7 months ago. Fotis' attorney, Norm Pattis, spoke outside his New Haven office.
As far as we're concerned, Mr. Dulos is not guilty, and the warrants served today come as a great relief to us. They come as a relief because after months of listening to innuendo, suggestion, and rumor, we now have something to shoot at, and we intend to begin firing those shots.
According to the arrest warrant, investigators say they found Jennifer's blood and signs of cleanup inside her New Canaan home back in May, and that Fotis was seen dumping items in Hartford. Authorities recovered garbage bags they say contained several items with Jennifer's DNA, including a sponge, shirt, and zip ties. And that it appears the zip ties were used to secure and incapacitate Jennifer Dulos for some time period, during which her blood and DNA transferred onto the ties. As there is little reason to incapacitate a deceased person, it is reasonable that Jennifer Dulos was alive at the time the zip ties were attached to restrain her movement and to prevent her escape. Also found in the bags, according to police, Fotis' DNA or fingerprint on several items, including a black garden glove and garbage bags with red-brown stains. In paperwork, the chief medical examiner reports, based on the investigation and degree of blood loss, that Jennifer sustained an injury non-survivable without medical intervention, calling it a homicide of violence.
Very little was disclosed today that is new. And what was exposed was a shocking lack of confidence by the state in its case.
Now, in the arrest warrant, investigators say that Dulos was having financial troubles, and with Jennifer gone, he would have had access to his children's trust funds. Now, Fotis is being held on a $6 million bond. His attorney says that they will post bond after they appear in court tomorrow in Stamford. We're live in Suffield. Jamie Ratliff, NBC Connecticut News. Mike and Keisha.
All right, thanks, Jamie. And the 2 other arrests in the case are Dulos' former girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, and one of his lawyers, Kent Mawhinney.
Both are charged with conspiracy to commit murder. NBC Connecticut's Matt Austin live in Bridgeport with new information on their arrests. Matt.
Keisha and Mike, an extraordinary day here at the Troop G barracks. And tonight we're learning about these 2 other players in the case who were brought here and charged. Michelle Troconis in handcuffs and headed to spend the night at the York Correctional Institution in Niantic. The girlfriend of Fotis Dulos now faces a charge of conspiracy to commit murder. Her attorney, Andrew Bowman.
Difficult day, as you can imagine. Very difficult.
Also under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, Kent Mawhinney, an attorney from Bloomfield. Police say Mawhinney is a friend and civil attorney for Dulos. Tonight, new arrest warrants revealing what led to the charges against the pair. In the report, detectives write that Troconis kept changing her story during interviews, including if Dulos was at their Farmington home when she woke up on the day Jennifer Dulos vanished. The 45-year-old had previously pled not guilty to charges of tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution for what investigators say was her part in tossing away evidence linked to Jennifer's disappearance.
She has always been extremely cooperative, and we'll have to deal with these charges in court.
Only NBC Connecticut was there as detectives searched for Kent Mawhinney at the office of his attorney in Hartford. In an arrest warrant, detectives wrote that Mawhinney's statements during interviews were suspicious to investigators, and that his name appeared in an alibi script written up by Dulos and Troconis. Mawhinney's lawyer told NBC Connecticut they are planning on, quote, bringing the truth to light. And Mawhinney and Troconis are each being held on a $2 million bail, and they're both due in Stamford Court tomorrow. We're live tonight in Bridgeport. Matt Austin, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha, back to you.
Matt, thank you. Jennifer Dulos and her 5 children lived in New Canaan at the time of her disappearance. That community has been calling for justice ever since. This is one of several pink rocks you'll see all across town, painted with the words "Justice for Jennifer." Neighbors tell NBC Connecticut she was well liked and well respected in New Canaan. People say it's a terrible tragedy, but they're glad murder charges have finally been filed.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy for her and her family, and especially the kids.
It's good that something's finally happened, that at least, hopefully she can rest peacefully knowing that he was brought to justice.
And Jennifer Dulos' family is thanking police for their commitment. They released a statement today that reads in part, although we are relieved that the wait for these charges is over, for us, there is no sense of closure. Nothing can bring Jennifer back. We miss her every day and will forever mourn her loss.
And it took prosecutors months to build a case against Fotis Dulos and his 2 alleged accomplices. So what comes next?
Tonight, we're getting new perspective from legal experts all across the state. NBC Connecticut's Leslie Mays is here to break it all down for us. Leslie.
Mike and Keisha, Fotis Dulos has, of course, been on supervised release for quite some time on other charges connected to his estranged wife's disappearance. Today, though, I talked to attorneys who say prosecutors could now be set to make a very strong case for murder against Fotis Dulos, even in the absence of a body.
This 37-page warrant shows the carefulness that was involved.
Kidnapping, murder, felony murder. The charges leveled against Fotis Dulos today in connection with the death of Jennifer Dulos. It took more than 7 months since Jennifer's disappearance for those charges to come. But former Chief State's Attorney Chris Moreno says that isn't that unusual.
The worst thing you can do as an investigator or a prosecutor is to make an arrest too soon when you don't have a strong case. Because if that person beats the case and is found not guilty, they can go out on the steps and say, by the way, I did it and here's where the body is, and they can never be tried again.
The Dulos arrest warrant outlined in detail evidence that allegedly links Fotis Dulos to his wife's possible restraint, murder, and attempts to clean the crime scene and hide evidence, though Dulos herself has never been found.
It's a relatively low standard for an arrest. It only does need probable cause, which is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
But how do you arrest someone for murder without finding a victim? Criminal defense attorney Trent LaLima says the state's case rests on physical evidence recovered in Jennifer Dulos' home, along with video that allegedly shows Fotis Dulos trying to hide the evidence of a crime.
They think that points to him disposing of the body, so while they don't have a body, they think they can piece together a convincing narrative that Mr. Dulos is responsible for them not having a body.
Dulos' attorney Norm Pattis challenged that argument following his client's first arrest in June.
So without a body, as far as defense of the murder case is concerned, we're in great shape. And I realize how that sounds, and that's why I'm struggling to say it. So as a defense attorney, I'd much rather be in this position than another.
And during tomorrow's court appearances, we'll likely learn if bond amounts will change for any of the 3 defendants, or if they'll bond out. Then a probable cause hearing has to take place within 60 days. Leslie Mays, NBC Connecticut News.
All right, thank you, Leslie. This case has dominated the headlines and gained national attention in the many months since Jennifer Dulos disappeared. It all started back in May after Jennifer dropped her kids off at school in New Canaan. She had moved there from Farmington after she and Fotis had split up. They were going through a lengthy divorce when she was last seen alive. Now here's a closer look at what happened since then.
Dulos' SUV was found at Mawhinney Park in New Canaan. An intense search by state police turned up no sign of the mother of 5.
We're heartbroken and very concerned, but we are just hoping fervently for her safe return.
Jennifer Dulos had moved to New Canaan from her Farmington home, where she had lived with her husband, Fotis Dulos, until she filed for divorce about 2 years ago. 1 week after Jennifer Dulos was last seen, investigators shifted their search 70 miles away to Hartford.
Well, I just noticed the police officer, and I was wondering why he was on Sigourney Street.
Western District Major Crimes spent several hours traveling from location to location in the capital city, checking both trash and dumpsters. Investigators revealed later on that video showed a couple resembling Fotis Dulos and his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, in a pickup truck and making about 30 stops around Hartford, tossing garbage bags into trash cans. It also led investigators to the Mira trash facility in Hartford. They spent weeks combing through material there. Among the items detectives found, clothing and a kitchen sponge covered in Jennifer Dulos' blood. June 2nd, police arrest Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis on charges of evidence tampering and hindering prosecution, all in connection with Jennifer's disappearance.
I know what I've done and I know what I haven't done, so I have to
stand and fight.
Fotis Dulos spoke exclusively to our sister station, WNBC, in July, saying he had nothing to do with his estranged wife's disappearance. 2 months later, Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis were arrested on additional charges of evidence tampering. The arrest warrant revealed that state police believe Dulos was lying in wait for his estranged wife at her New Canaan home on May 24th. According to the warrant, Michelle Troconis also told investigators that she believed Jennifer's body had been in the pickup that Dulos borrowed from one of his employees the same day Jennifer disappeared.
Now, you can see more of the timeline of this case on the NBC Connecticut app. You can also read the arrest warrants for all 3 suspects. They're there, too. Take a closer look at the locations in the case. We will also have expanded coverage on TV tomorrow on air at 11 a.m. with all 3 suspects expected in court.